Hey, I'm Chris.
And I'm Sarah.
And we have a travel content platform called Chris and Sara. It's pretty original, I think.
So we've been creating content for about 6 years now, probably longer than that, but 6 years officially on YouTube. We are travel content creators. We travel the world. We started out in the whole van life thing. Today we are driving through Central America. Actually, we came up here from Panama. So our travels take us all over the world.
Yeah, and like Sarah said, we've been everywhere, but one person that's been everywhere with us is this guy. Go ahead and flip that over.
Is it number 50?
Yeah.
So this is our dog Kramer, and we're showing you his picture because he's going to come up several times, and it always gets people's attention. But Kramer he's sort of the star of our channel and everything that we do. He actually was our first brand deal. The first brand deal we ever got was because of him. So just get to know his face. We like to show him off, but he is a huge part of our story too.
And that's actually his passport photo, which is super adorable and cute. He had to get that for Korea. The dog has been more places than my entire family has been, which they like to remind us that quite a bit. But Kramer is a part of our family. And today's lesson, go ahead and go to the next slide. Today's lesson, we really wanted to talk to you guys about, one, the lessons that we've learned, the monetary value of storytelling, identifying and engaging your audience, and really where the money comes in, pitching your audience to the brands that you're hoping to work with.
So we don't claim to know everything, but we have had the chance to work with some pretty big brands over the last few years. Some of our dream brands like Sony, Hyatt, Garmin. Some of those have been incredible opportunities, and we did that with not a ton of subscribers. I mean, by travel industry standards, we are not the largest YouTube channel out there and definitely not the largest Instagram out there, but we're gonna share with you guys how you can make it a business without having millions of followers.
And really what we like to do is start kind of at the the bare bones, the basics. We're gonna divide content into 3 different categories. That's what we really like to do because it helps to know what you're creating first, so that way you can go to these brands. And we have informational, entertainment, and infotainment, which is the sweet spot.
So first up is informational, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's somebody Googling something or YouTube something, like a DIY. You're going somewhere to learn something very specific. Second up is entertainment. It's like turning on Netflix or YouTube. You're just tuning in to zone out for a bit. You just want to be entertained. And then there is the third one, which is our sweet spot, and where we think a lot of creators should fall, and probably do fall, even if they don't realize that, and that's infotainment. And that's a collection of the two. So you are entertaining, but you're also teaching them something. You're teaching them, but also keeping them there and engaging them in a more personal way.
People often come for the information. Like when you go to YouTube, you will search whatever, like how to get through TSA or how to, use a potato as a battery. They will stay for the entertainment. When we first started off, we didn't know this rule. We didn't really understand the entire information entertainment thing, but we did understand that people were asking us a lot of questions about van life. We bought a van, we traveled to all 50 states. People were really interested in that. Mostly they were interested in how we use the bathroom. We got tons of comments on like, where's the toilet? How do you use the toilet? How do you shower? How do you do laundry? What do you do? And so we got tired of answering those questions. And what we did is we had these FAQ videos, that's what we called them, frequently asked questions, and we would answer them in a very entertaining way. So when people typed or searched on Google, our video would be one of the first ones to pop up, and then if they liked it, they kind of subbed along.
We saw a lot of success from this. They found us because they were searching for something. So we utilized SEO on both Google and YouTube to pull them in, and then we kept them there by trying to make it personable. I mean, not everybody's gonna like us, but we did have a lot of people who did decide to stick around because they like the personalities. And so that's also sort of our key to standing out in a saturated market. I mean, as you know, the travel industry is very saturated and getting more and more saturated every day, but we truly believe that the best way to stand out is to be yourself. And that sounds really, really cheesy, I know, but the best thing you can bring to the table is just your unique point of view.
Because it's really unlikely that you will be the first person to ever do that thing for the first time. More than likely, there is somebody else who has already bicycled across America or walked across the earth or traveled first impressions of Costa Rica. Whatever the topic may be, there's always going to be somebody else who did it before you or who is going to do it after you. But what makes it unique to you is your unique approach.
So for us, one of those unique approaches is actually our dog Kramer, and this is him in Korea. And it's actually because of him that we went viral in Korea, which is really ridiculous, but also really funny at the same time. So it wasn't intentional. We weren't trying to pimp out our dog or something, but he just happened to be in the content. He was organic. He's a member of the family, and people like that, you know? Weirdly enough, early on in our content creation process, business, I had an Instagrammer who had millions of followers online. She told me, she's like, don't put your dog on Instagram or social media at all until you have 100,000 followers. And I don't know where she got that 100,000.
I don't know where she got the 100,000 either.
But I was like, oh, I can't put my dog up there. It's too personal. Nobody wants to see that. But then every time we put Kramer up, our dog, we'd see a nice spike of engagement because people like the dog, which is really funny. So now it's kind of a joke that if you see Kramer online, our analytics are down at the moment, and we kind of need to boost them back up a bit. But he's a unique part of our story.
Yeah. So, and you're going to hear, like, whatever creator course you take, when you talk to people about the creator economy, everybody will say niche down, you know, travel, your travel. Well, that's fine. And in theory, that is understandable. Like, you need to have a topic to talk about. But I believe that you are the niche. Like, you are the common denominator for your content. So for us, let's go to the next slide. So for us, like, we have Chris and Sara. That's our brand. That's who we are. But we have 4 different, like, subsets of groups that we try to cater to. So we have the husband and wife duo. We like to banter.
Yeah, I mean, we're sort of a duo. We're digital nomads. Even before we were full-time content creators, we were digital nomads. We did web design, we did video editing for other people. So we've always worked on the road because we didn't just start out with tons of money to travel, and we were answering people's questions about how we were able to afford to travel. So digital nomad life is a huge part of our content still today. We're also overlanders, which is really just a fancy way of saying we road trip. Currently, we're road tripping down the Pan American Highway, but we've done van life, and so people expect us to take slower road trips around the world. And then 4th is Kramer, our dog. I mean, so much of our travels, as crazy as it sounds, do revolve around the dog. Where can he go? Is it too hot for him to be in the truck camper alone? And people just like seeing him.
And that makes us, like, we're able to take these 4 categories and go to brands and say, hey, luxury hotel, we actually like our husband and wife couple, and so we know how to do this. Or, hey, tire company, we're overlanders. You know, I think this would really work well in your niche. And so we're able to kind of identify who we can work with, or it's a better fit for us and our audience and how that works. And the one thing that I think you're going to hear a lot in this talk is that we really love to look at our audience as people and as real people. And when you look at them as real people, you invite them in. Like, you're inviting them in to the adventure.
Yeah, you're not just talking to a random number, and that's like the most important thing we can tell people when they're starting out, especially if you're doing something that's in front of a camera like Instagram or YouTube. I mean, even a blog, when you write a blog post, it's better if you talk to the blog or write the blog post like you're talking to a friend. I mean, I am a huge introvert, and so getting me on YouTube originally was super difficult.
Getting you here on the stage was very difficult.
Yeah, it was, but I'm here. But early on, as he was filming, if he was filming me, I realized I'm talking to my husband on the other side of the camera, and it really made it so much more personal. And then as we started growing our followers and stuff, I started realizing, like, these people who are tuning in, they're not numbers, they're people. I started recognizing the names in the comments, and it just really broke down that barrier of these are strangers and turning them into friends. So we invite these people in, they're not numbers.
And inviting your audience in on a personal level empowers the viewer that, one, that they could travel too. We have a lot of people who watch us who are like, thank you so much for showing me the top of this mountain or sledding down this volcano, because I would never be able to do that. Thank you. Or we have other people who say, hey, because of you, I actually went and slid down a volcano. Thanks so much for that video. It really inspired me.
But this is really important. I want to tie it back to brands and getting monetized for a second, because brands see this. Brands see the comment section, and they see the engagement that you're getting with your audience. And they want those people that you have, because when you are selling to a brand and you're asking them to sponsor you, you're largely selling your audience. You're saying, look at this that I've created. So the people in the audience and the community that you cultivate is incredibly important.
And when you're talking to your audience, don't talk at them, like, talk with them. And that breaks down the barrier for you and brands, for you to be able to sell something, whether it's your own product or maybe you're a brand ambassador trying to sell something. When you talk to them like an actual human, then that whole barrier, then that trust starts to happen for them.
Trust is one of the biggest things that we say you need. We're big believers in having a smaller audience that really trusts you than having a really big audience who may not tune into everything. And not that every person in our audience tunes into every video by any means, but our audience trusts us, and our brands that we work with have seen that because we keep showing up time and again, and we have a consistent audience who follows. All right.
Talk to the camera like a friend.
We already said that, but I really believe that. Like, you've got to remember, keep that personal element there. That is so important, and it's going to show through.
And I think, for us, the last thing about audience numbers is that these are real people. When somebody subs to you, when somebody follows you, this is somebody. Like, your audience is more than a number, though. If we were to have 500 people, a lot of times we'll post a video or something and you're like, oh, that got 500 views, or it got 40 views, or it got 1,000 views, and you can be kind of disappointed by that. You can be like, that didn't do well. Even brands will say, that didn't perform that well. But in our eyes, we're thinking, hey, that's actually 500 people who decided to say yes to watching that video first. Or, there's a lot more in your audience than just the number.
Exactly. All right, and this one was?
Korea.
All right, so one lesson that we learned in Korea, actually we've learned this lesson several times now, but making mistakes, asking rhetorical questions to your audience is so key to getting interaction. So this story here is actually in Korea, and I sort of had this crazy weird encounter. Go ahead.
Well, hang on. We have to first introduce this. So when we went to Korea, we took Kramer because obviously he needs to go with us. And we're traveling around Seoul. Sarah has Kramer in the backpack, and she looks very cute. And people are stopping and they're taking photos. We're having a blast. It's awesome.
But okay, so one night we were outside. It's called Gwangjang Market, and it's in Seoul. So Kramer and I were standing outside. Chris went inside to go get some more video clips for a video. And anyway, it was dark. I was sitting there playing on my phone, and this about 90-year-old gentleman walked up, and he handed my dog it was like $5 worth of Korean won, and he wanted the dog to take it in his mouth. And Kramer took it and sort of bit it, and the guy was like, okay, bye, in Korean, of course. I don't know Korean, but he waved and walked away. And I was like, no, take your money. I thought the guy thought I was homeless. I was like, why is he giving me money? I'm not homeless, you can take your money back. But anyway, we shared this story on YouTube, and it was our first impressions of Korea video. It was the first video we had shared in Korea, and the video went viral.
Went viral so much that MSNBC decided to share the video, and they called Kramer Dog Baby, which we still call him today, Dog Baby.
They love the story because it's a Korean tradition where elderly people give children little bits of money to go buy treats or toys or something, but they say Kramer was so cute, he was my baby. But anyway, the lesson here is that we asked this rhetorical question. We shared an honest cultural mistake, which those mistakes are gonna happen when you're a traveler, and it actually monetarily helped us out.
So that one video, because Sarah asked that question and because that man thought she was homeless, not really, but we got over 1 million views on that video and over 10,000 subscribers just because we shared that story. And if you were to go watch that video now and just watch it, there's no production. It's literally on the side of a street and Sarah is holding money saying, some guy gave this to me. That's the part. That is it was really low quality production.
Very bad quality.
That got us that.
And then it actually ended up turning into an extra job where the tourism board of Korea actually came to us and wanted to buy video footage. They licensed video footage from us because they saw that video. So it's just like an added bonus of extra money of hey, we saw this video, we want to pay you now.
So we want to ask the question, how do you really create a strong bond with your audience? And that's simple and complex. It's tell a story. Tell the most authentic story that you can. Be who you are.
And we don't mean just tell a story like you have to sit here and, tell essentially a novel. We mean you can tell a story with no words, which we're going to show you guys. So this is a screen grab from a ad we actually did for Sony. And in this ad, we were advertising a new microphone they had coming out. This was about a 30 or 45 second video, and it was ASMR, so there was no talking at all. It was just sound effects. But we told this entire story of making coffee and having coffee on a mountaintop in the morning, and it did really well. But the point is that we got paid to work with one of our favorite brands, and we told an authentic story, or a very easy story, by using no words. And the story engaged people. It performed very well just because we took them from point A to point B to point B, and we showed how that product was useful to us.
And that can be UGC content. That can be you going to a brand and saying, let me tell your story, and you don't have to use my platform. Or that could be telling a 30-minute documentary on how you were getting scammed in a country at a country border. The story doesn't matter. The length of the story doesn't matter. Like, as long as you're telling that good of the story for the brand, that's really what sells. And that's what creates trust as well.
It is. And your audience needs to trust you before they pay you. And brands that are here today are going to see that, and they want to see that your audience trusts you. You don't need to be pitching them every random brand that comes their way. They want to see that you have trust and that your audience shows that for you, and that what you're selling you actually like and that you actually believe in, that you don't just take every product.
Mm-hmm. So the monetary value of storytelling, we're just going to go ahead and jump into the drone story because I think that's where we are.
Yeah, we're big believers in storytelling, so we're going to linger on this for a second.
So the next slide is a photo of one of our favorite cities in America. It's Seattle, Washington. We actually used to live in Seattle for a brief time, and we grew to love it. We love the Pacific Northwest. But this specific photo right here almost cost me $100,000. And it was a very scary time when that bill or that fee came up. But when we lived in Seattle, we realized and found out very quickly that you cannot fly a drone in this part of Seattle or downtown. It's actually illegal. You have to get a lot of permits, and you have to work with the FAA and all this other stuff. So we knew not to fly our drone when we were revisiting Seattle to film a video. So I purchased stock footage so we could use in our YouTube video. And that's what this is. This is just a stock image. I didn't take this. Their planes normally land on that lake. It's a pretty busy airspace. And we uploaded the video to YouTube, and maybe a couple weeks later, we got a phone call.
Mm-hmm. From the FAA, which was terrifying. If you've never been called by the federal government, it's terrifying. But they called and they said, hey, we saw this video clip and you're not supposed to fly there. You need to pay us $100,000. And we said, we didn't fly that drone. That's actually stock footage that we purchased legally. We have no idea who got that. So we were completely off the hook. But in the process, we realized that a completely honest mistake is we did not have our Part 107, which is just a license that you have to have if you have a drone. So we did our research. We did a deep dive on what we really needed for a drone. We've been flying a drone illegally. We didn't know this. We didn't get fined the $100,000. I'm just gonna go ahead and say that.
I was like, hey man, I'll write the check today, but you can't cash it. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
But anyway, we ended up making a video about all of this. And there was a brand called Pilot Institute, and they sell an entire course about teaching people how to pass the Part 107 test. And we really, really loved the test, or Chris took it, I didn't take it, so thank you, Chris. He used the course to study for the test, passed it with flying colors, and we asked him, do you guys have an affiliate link? And they said, yeah, we do. So we used the affiliate link and saw success from that. And then a year later, we got reported again for another thing that we did not do illegally, but somebody reported us to the FAA, and they thought that we were flying illegally in a national park, but we were not.
So, I mean, all this to say, we've realized we have a bunch of trolls that like to call the FAA in our audience. So if you have somebody in the airspace, sector, call us.
But they're making us good money, so we kind of appreciate them. So the second video, we made another video about the mistake, but we knew that we were completely not in the wrong this time. We were completely innocent. Chris had his Part 107, but we approached the Pilot Institute this time and said, hey, your affiliate link did so well last time. Would you guys like to sponsor this video? And they said, absolutely. So they paid our rate, our full asking rate, without even blinking an eye, and we got to use our affiliate link.
So between both videos, there's about 600,000 views between both videos. We gained about 6,000 subs, and we personally have made over $50,000 just from one affiliate link. That is not including the brand partnership that we gained from Pilot Institute or any AdSense, anything like that. That is strictly from that affiliate link.
Yeah, so our lesson here is authentic storytelling. We told a mistake, we were honest and vulnerable with our audience, said, look guys, this is something we messed up on, don't do what we did. We built an authentic relationship with the brand, and then it turned into pretty decent money for one affiliate link.
So please call the FAA for us because we have a mortgage and we're trying to pay that.
Okay, but you may be curious how you can pitch without followers. I mean, like we said, we have about 144,000 people on YouTube right now, which is by no means the largest YouTube channel out there, and even in the travel industry. We're proud of what we have, but it's not the largest. But we truly believe that people of every size can pitch to brands, because a lot of time there's so much value in having a really small niche audience. So
there is so much value in a niche, very small audience, and people even trust them more than they trust the larger creators sometimes, because they don't feel like they're being sold to or they're a sellout. But when you're trying to get brand deals, when you're trying to work with these brands, you want to make it obvious. Like, you need to make sure that it's a good fit. Go to the next slide really quick. Yeah, make it obvious why it's a good fit. Like, this includes like doing just a tiny bit of research, and we'll get there, but you need to connect the dots for the brand on why you think this would be a good fit. Is your audience in line with their product? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, you don't want to just send generic messages of, I love your brand, you want to work together? You want to make it very clear, like, hey, here's actually some photos where I'm using that product. I really love your product. Like, give them something to say, like, oh, they really mean this. Like, stand out. Like, one thing we say all the time is it really doesn't take a ton to stand out in the market. If you do a little bit more research than your peers, you're going to stand out. Do something unique. Do a different angle. It really does work.
I wholeheartedly believe that.
I know you do.
There's no, like, honestly, very little effort, you will stand out among the sea. Like, it is crazy to me.
But I don't want to make it sound like it doesn't take work. So it does take work, but it just means like showing your unique spin, showing how you really truly love the product. So.
And that actually is a really good segue, Sarah. Good for you. The next thing when you're reaching out to these brands is that you want to reference what you've already done. So if it's a natural fit, if you love that brand and you've mentioned them before, go ahead and show that brand, hey, I actually did this Instagram post. See how well it performed? They actually really like you. My audience really was interested in that. Create a portfolio for these brands. For us, we actually have several different portfolios that we can give to other like brand categories. So maybe it's for luggage. So we have a portfolio for luggage people, and we have a portfolio for hotel people, and then travel bureaus, because you want to make sure, because at the end of the day, these people half the time are not really in the creative space. Like, they're in the spreadsheet space. They're working with numbers, they're trying to do marketing, and they can't envision, sometimes they don't have the imagination to envision where they're at. And so if you can say, look at this portfolio and it looks kind of like their company, then it's really easy for them to it's really easy to see themselves working with you.
Yeah, a lot of the time these people are not creatives. They're marketers, or they're on the back end of things. And you know, everybody's cutting staff right now. The last thing they have time for is to come up with a vision of how they're going to use you and pay you on top of everything else they're doing. So one thing we get asked a lot, and we've started just approaching people with now, is like, hey, I have this idea. Because if we pitch a brand, sometimes they'll come back and be like, well, what's your idea? What do you want? What would you do with the product if we gave it to you? And so now we've just started saying, hey, here's A, B, and C. We have these ideas. We think your product will work really well with this type of content. And that takes the guesswork out for them. It's one less thing they have to think about, and it makes it an easy yes. Like, they can envision it right away, because they are usually not creative people.
And you need to lead with the value that you bring. Like, that is so very important. Like, maybe our audience, we're driving through Central America right now, and maybe we have gained a lot of people who are interested in Central America. So our audience is actively planning trips to hit up these countries, and maybe your product supports that journey, and we can help you get discovered by them. Like, when you are the solution to the brand's problem, that's what makes you stand out.
Yeah, it's not your numbers, and that's where it comes back to. You don't have to be a giant creator to get these brand deals. You may be just doing something that is going to work perfectly for a brand. They may say, oh yeah, she has my exact audience that I'm looking for. So it's just about who you are and how you tell the story. It's not about your numbers.
And then stay professional, but still sound human. Remember, when you're emailing these people, these are people. Like, these are real people at the other end of the computer screen having to deal with other influencers who are asking them for free things too, or money. You know, they understand that. Like, they're dealing with a lot. There was one time where we were in Canyon City, Colorado, and I really wanted to work with the train company. There's this famous train that goes through Canyon City, and I really wanted to work with them. I didn't want to shell out the cash, to be truthfully honest, but I wanted to go on that train. And so I emailed them. They didn't email back. I sent a response back. They didn't email the response back. And then I called, and I left a message, just said, hey, my name's Chris, blah, blah, blah. I would love to do that. And she called back maybe 10 minutes, and I'll never forget that. She said, "I called you back because you sounded nice. Thank you so much." And we got to ride the train, and I was so happy about that. So sound human, but stay professional.
But make a call. Like, that's sort of a little side point here, but very few people make calls. Like, I would sooner die than make a phone call, but he's fine making phone calls. And so many times people will answer the call, and it's just one more way to get yourself above the rest of the people in the stack. I mean, travel bureaus alone, a lot of people have their phone numbers online. If you want to work with somebody like, say, the city of Las Vegas, I don't know for sure, but they would probably have their phone numbers online. You can call and ask for the marketing director, whoever it is. But if you email, they're going to tell you they get dozens of emails a week from people other white couples just like us. And they're just going to, put us off to the side. But if you call, you get a step ahead. So call and put yourself out there. It's just one more way to stand out. And it's so easy and it's free.
So easy and free. And I think one of the big mistakes that we were doing when we were pitching brands at the beginning was not including a clear next step. It was like, "We love your brand," and that was it.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Cool. And then we would never follow up, one, but then two, we never gave that next step. You need to give that next step. Hey, do you have time next week to meet up? That'd be great. Or do you have time to set up a call? We would really love to chat more about this. And like Sara said, if you're able to make a phone call, it stands out. It is incredible what a phone call does. So always give that next step.
Give them a call to action. And we're going to talk about the follow-up process too, because that's something we've gotten much better at, but we didn't used to follow up appropriately, and we would never know if our emails were even getting in the right place. But now with the call to action, we can email them or call them, but in an email you can give them a Calendly link, be like, "I'd love to talk to you," just give them that call to action so that they're more likely to respond. If you ask a question or you ask something of them versus like letting them know you like their brand, they're more likely to respond.
So in this section, we want to talk about the process of what it actually looks like to reach out to a brand, because maybe you don't know, maybe you're starting out to being a creator, or maybe you've been in this and you're trying to ask for like tools to like, hey, just get seen by a different brand. So we're going to go through each step and explain the tools, explain what we think and all that good stuff. First is find the right contact.
Which is so difficult sometimes. Just start with the marketing department. If you don't know where to start with the marketing department, pick up the phone, just ask them like, "Hey, who would the best person be?" Sometimes they outsource it and they'll give you the email for it or the phone number, but you're gonna wanna find the first person or the right person to reach out to.
You're looking for like an influencer manager, social media manager, partnership manager, brand partnership, somebody in the marketing department.
Yeah, for sure. Don't reach out to the CEO.
Yeah, never do the CEO.
Do a deep dive. And this is one area that you can really stand out to brands. So a lot of companies will do repeat campaigns year after year. For example, I think it's Home Depot that does like a Father's Day campaign every June. And we know of a creator who reached out to them, said, "Hey, I loved your campaign last June. Would you like to work with me for this June?" Because like if you do your research, you know what's coming up and you can pitch them on those exact ideas. So do a deep dive. Places like Instagram, LinkedIn, go back and see who they're working with, the hashtags they're using on a sponsored post. A lot of times those hashtags will take you to other sponsored posts and you can see what kind of content they're looking for. For example, when we worked with Sony, ASMR was working really well for them. So when we pitched them, we pitched ASMR.
Yeah, and it doesn't take an hour. Like it's 5-10 minutes. Literally, it's just 5-10 minutes of clicking around and doing a little extra effort, and that makes you stand out.
And one other little piece of information is when you're doing this deep dive, I don't want to say copy other creators, because like we're saying, like be truly unique, but also you can look to see what creators, other brands you really want to work with are working with, and say, "Hey, you worked with so-and-so, I have a very similar audience to them. Our demographics are very similar. If that campaign worked for you, I'd love to be considered for your next campaign." There's nothing wrong with doing that if you really have a very similar audience and it looked like it was successful for them. We've done that.
Yeah, we've done that, and I think it's easy for creators to they don't have the mindset of being in business sometimes, which is weird. We were at a travel conference a year ago and they were saying, actually, we're learning that travel influencers don't make as much money as they probably should.
We're real famous for just taking a trade of goods, taking a free hotel stay. And it's really easy to sell yourself short, but then when you do that, this is a whole nother topic, but you're doing a disservice to everybody after you too.
Yeah, so but with that said, let's just go on to the next one. Yeah.
Okay.
When you send the initial email, so you found the right contact, or so you hope. Then you're doing the research. All right, you're going to send the actual email. This is the part where you try to sound human. This is the part where you're clear, concise. There's no fluff. This is You have an idea, you have a pitch, can we talk? You enter the call to action. If you just go to ChatGPT and you tell ChatGPT, write an email to this brand person at so-and-so, please do that. I guarantee you it will not get a response back because ChatGPT will throw in the words, we'd love to show off the hidden gems of your company. Like, they know that it's an AI because they're probably using the AI too. Like, they know. And so just when you send the initial email, go to ChatGPT, have it write the email, but then you go through it and rewrite it. Make it your own voice. Make it an email that only you could send.
And you want to find something, some sort of common denominator with the people you're reaching out to. If there's not one, then that's fine. But if you've met them before, be sure to mention that and say, hey, I had a great time. It was really nice meeting you at your booth at Travel, where are we at? TGA.
Travel Good Show.
Travel Good Association, sorry. You say something that, reminds them of who you are. If you have the same alumni network, mention the school and be like, oh, I saw you went to that school too, so did I. Find something that makes you stand out from the crowd so you know, or they know that you know who they are.
But don't send your media kit first. Do not send your media kit in that initial thing. Get the conversation going, then send the media kit. Not
just because you don't want to just jump on with the media kit, but you'll also end up in their spam most likely. If you're sending a link or an attachment, a lot of times you will go to their spam.
And be smart. Be smart. Ask smart questions. Ask them questions of hey, what's your marketing campaign like? Do you have any fun things happening? Do you have any new initiatives that you're really trying to hit? How can we fit in with what you already have going on, and how can we make it better?
For an example, there's brands here right now who are launching a lot of new products. We saw that this morning. So go ask them, talk to them. If you're interested in working with somebody, say, what's the vision for this product? How do you guys want people to perceive it? What are you guys wanting them to use it for? And honestly, it's one of those things you could just let them pitch to you. Not necessarily only these guys, but other people out there, let the brands pitch to you. Ask them what their needs are and what their goals are for the current fiscal year. And then when they give those answers, actually listen. Put just a little bit of effort, just a tiny bit of effort. Actually listen to what their needs are, what they want, because you're a business and they are trying to hire you to solve a problem. And that's what you are. You are the answer to their problem. And like we said, these people are real people. And if you can make their lives easier and more enjoyable and they look better to their bosses, they're going to keep rehiring you because you made them look good. So actually listen and be a part of their marketing campaigns. Be a good business. That's a really good point. We've gotten that comment back from people before. We'll ask, have we been easy to work with? And they say yes, then chances are we'll probably get to work with them again. Like you said, if they like us and we do a good job, their boss is going to like it. It's going to make it easier for them every time. And if they said no? I don't know. I actually don't know if we've gotten that. Maybe we haven't asked. All right. So following up. This is something we failed at for a long time, is following up. It's good to follow up. You have to follow up. And sometimes you kind of have to be a pain, because I know me, our inbox on Instagram and on our email right now is very deep with unanswered emails. I'm guilty of that, and so is everybody else. So follow up. The first time we say follow up in 3 to 5 days. Let it be within the same business week. I asked our LinkedIn audience, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to be more professional. What's the right term? And most people said 3 days, which I thought was really quick. And then other people said 5 days, and then other people said a week. So we do 3 to 5 days. We like to do our initial outreaches on Monday so we can follow up within the same business week, so they're not forgetting it over a weekend. And Sarah and I both struggle. We always try to think of the other person to a T. It can hurt us sometimes, I feel like. And we don't want to be a nuisance. We don't want to show up in their inbox and they're like, oh, here's this annoying Chris and Sara again, just shut up. That doesn't happen, and we have to tell ourselves that doesn't happen. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it has, but it really doesn't. They're like, oh, hey, thanks for the reminder. Good, thanks for following up. It's a no or it's a yes. Let's go on. Yeah. Ever since we've started doing the follow-ups, we've seen huge success in replies. So the second follow-up, we always say do about a week after that. And one little key that we started using, was it last year, is something called Mail Suite. Is that what it's called? Yeah, so we use this program, it's called Mail Suite. We use Gmail to send our emails. And later on in the talk, we have a little QR code and you can download it, and it has all the tools, everything that but this Mail Suite, it's an add-on, a plug-in to Gmail. And so when we send an email, we're able to see when they opened it, how many times they've opened it, and what they clicked on. Which sounds really invasive. Really, like Big Brother-ish, but it's us, so. No, the point is that we for the longest time didn't know, is our email even going to the right person? Are they getting it? Is it ending up in spam? And it was when we started using this that we started realizing like, oh, when we put the link in it, it's going to their spam. Like they're not getting this link, like their servers are blocking it.
Yeah.
So when we started being able to tell like, okay, they did open it or they didn't open it, it gave us a little bit more freedom to reach back out again if they still hadn't opened it, or reach out to somebody different instead of just sitting there wondering like, did it go to the right person?
And it actually gave us insight on what they're kind of interested in right now. Because at the bottom of our footer of our email, we've got Chris and Sara, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, blog, all of our different avenues. And we, by default, we can see if they go down to how they're checking us out, we can see what their preference platform of choice is. And it helps us. If they really like Instagram, then we know, okay, it's probably going to be short form. Or if they clicked 7 times on our blog, maybe they want a blog article. So it really does help.
Once you have somebody interested though, you need to have a media kit. And this is like sending a resume to a company. You don't just have one form of your resume. You have several different forms of your media kit. Like Chris said, we have media kits for hotel companies, for travel bureaus, for everybody out there. And you have to customize it a little bit. But once you have them hooked, you need to have that media kit ready to go. And it does need to have things like your demographics, like who is watching you regularly? Who is tuning in? What is the age of them? What's the geography of them? What country are they from? That's all very important, especially when you're in the travel industry and people can be all over the world. Because being Americans, we have an advantage that a lot of companies want to work with American creators because their audience pays higher.
The biggest mistake, though, is to put your pricing and what you charge in the media kit. Don't do that. Don't do that, because already you are like hitting yourself in the kneecaps, because they may have a whole marketing campaign or initiative that is $50,000, and you're like, hey, for $500, you can get an Instagram post, and cool, we'll take 500, and then they'll move on. And I'm not saying this is not a way to like hide your pricing. It's a way to meet them and their needs. It's a way to say, actually, we offer a lot of different packages. Maybe I can put a custom package together for you. Maybe it's a YouTube and a blog article, and maybe it's consulting, whatever it may be. Like, you're meeting their needs, and then they're open to it. In fact, we had a brand the other day, they had no idea we had a blog. Actually, Scottsdale would be a great example of that. Scottsdale, we worked with Scottsdale, Arizona. Fabulous, fabulous place. They hired us to do a video and to go around in the middle of the summer because it was 107 and nobody's visiting Scottsdale in the summer. And so they were like, come on down. So we did Scottsdale, and every time we do one of these trips, we always take a lot of photos for the blog. Really, that's really why we do it. And we did this, and then we sent Scottsdale the video, and we said, hey, by the way, we have a lot of photos. If you're interested, you can license them here. We didn't think 2 things of it. And they responded back, wow, I can't believe you do this. We had no idea we needed these photos. And they purchased licensed photos from us on top of that. So that's our mistake for not doing that at first.
It doubled our rate.
Doubled our rate.
And like Chris said, you don't want to give your prices up front. And I'm not saying take advantage of brands. Like, you want to be honest about your rates. Like, have a good ballpark, even though rates can be all over the place. There's a lot of secrecy surrounding creators and their rates and that kind of thing. But you want to let the brand, like, ask them their budget. Ask them how much they're willing to spend. They'll probably go back and forth, well, what's your budget? How much does it cost? Like Chris said, they may have $50,000, and if you pitch $500, you're really selling yourself short, because they may come back and say, well, we have a budget of $50,000, and you can come up with 20 different items that's going to get you to $50,000. Like, and they may say, cool, we'll just go with you. You've got a lot of variety, and it's one less creator I have to be working with. Like, it's just less work for them.
Yeah, and during the negotiation part, when you're talking to brands, be flexible, like, be human, stand your ground, be who, like, you have your boundaries, you know what's good for you, and meet them in the middle sometimes. Yes. Sometimes it's okay to take less percentage or, a discount if it means that you're going to work with them in the future again. Like, remember, these are people. This is a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. And it depends on how much you want the brand too. Like, we're willing to take, 20% less if it's a brand we really want to work with. If it's going to look really good in our portfolio, we're not going to let them take advantage of us, but we're willing to lower our rate if we can get that name. And who knows, maybe it's going to, be such a good experience for them that they want to come back and work again. We do have repeat clients, and that's the sweet spot. It's less pitching you have to do. If you can just have repeat clients coming in regularly, that's where you want to be. So
you've done the negotiation, you've sent the media kit, all the initial emails. Once you're finally through all the hoops, that's when you send the terms and you sign a contract. And don't you ever post online, I'm working with so-and-so, until you sign the contract and it's out. Because so many times, we see this all the time with creators, they're like, I just talked to somebody where I'm gonna get $1 million. And then next week, actually, it kind of fell through. I talked to the wrong person, you know? So make sure you have it in writing that you're working with them.
It protects you and it protects them. It really does. And you've got to be really careful about reading contracts. And if you're new to this, like, it just takes practice. There's going to be words like, you know, whitelisting and things like that you're just not familiar with. Like, those things cost extra. And like, this is a whole topic we could deep dive in for hours, but just read the contracts very carefully and make sure you know what you're giving them license to.
Yeah. And then make sure that you're open and clear and concise, and you set expectations early. Because if you can be over communicative, is that a word?
I think so.
Yeah, if you can over communicate, the better. The more you email, the more you smile, the more you say, hey, like, we're working on this. We need another week. I'll get it done. The more you keep them in the know, the better. Because that way, there's no surprises. Because at the end of the day, businesses and you do not like surprises when it comes to money or creating something.
And it's one of those things you always want to over deliver. You know, we'll do whatever's in the contract, whatever we said that we would, but say, like, for example, one thing we like to give away extra is Insta stories. You know, we charge extra per Insta story, but sometimes if we're really loving working with a brand or a travel bureau, we'll be like, hey guys, working with @so-and-so, really love this new product of theirs, or something that's really organic, and we'll just give them that for free, just because we want them to know that we're excited about the product and the experience. And a lot of times we over deliver, and that costs us very little. In fact, it helps us because they end up resharing it on their platform, so we get more exposure. I don't like to tell them that, but they also kind of know it. So you just got to be creative in how you're thinking, and it's okay to give away a little bit, especially if you really like the brand and they've been good to work with.
So if you're interested in any of the tools that we use for our business, and that includes pitching brands or whatever, you can take a picture of this and scan it later. It goes to an email list and it'll shoot you an email, and then it's everything. But we'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Keep going. Mail Suite is the mail tracker that we were talking about. It is paid quarterly, I think. I think it's like $25 a quarter or something like that.
That's pretty affordable.
It's pretty affordable. And then the next slide, Notion. We use Notion for everything, but especially for the sponsorship tracker. Like it's basically like a CRM. It allows us to say, all right, we emailed this person, we can follow up in a week, this is their contact. It's like a whole database. So we've set up that entire database.
It's the only project management software we both like.
Yes.
It's very
Which,
it's
a couple goals, right?
Yeah, right?
The next is hunter.io. That is how to find somebody's email address when you're trying to find the right contact. Because that is the hardest thing. Like, you're just trying to start the conversation. So this hunter.io is a service that you're able to do that with.
It's not faultless, but it does help you get to the right place usually.
Yeah, go to the next one. And then that's the QR code again if you want that. But yeah, I mean, that's
pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. We're open books. Jules, I mean, it's 2:50. Thank you so much for watching and listening to us. We're so honored to be here. But
if anybody has any questions,
if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Have you ever hosted someone who didn't pay you?
Like, just because we liked it? Yes. Yeah, that's always like one of those things. I'm like, should I post it? Should I not? I'm okay doing it, but I wouldn't do it all the time for the same brands over and over. They see you. They see your comments, they see your tags and that kind of thing. And if you tag them, it gives them the right to go ahead and reshare it. Every now and then it's okay. Again, it's up to you and how much you're willing to give away for free. Like, you don't want to let them take advantage. Like, one brand I really love, but I see them do it all the time, is Madewell. Like the clothing brand Madewell. They're all the time commenting like, love this picture, can we use it? And then when you're saying yes to that on Instagram, you're essentially giving them rights to use that photo on a giant blow up in the, so this is another bad lesson. There's another creator, and truthfully, I don't remember who it was, but I saw her story one time where her boyfriend had taken a photo of her and had put it up on a stock website for like $1. Like, it's just one of those things, you just buy a stock photo for $1 and anybody has rights to it. And one day she was walking through, I think it was LAX, and suddenly her photo was being used for a credit card company. And that photo, if she had been paid to go and shoot that campaign, would have cost tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars probably. So it comes down to like, you've got to know your worth and how much you're willing to give away and when to charge for it. That kind of derailed a little bit.
Little bit, but just to answer that question, like use it as a portfolio too. Hey,
Yeah,
it worked.
yeah.
It worked. Like you post it, my audience really loved it. I think a paid campaign would be a great fit, and then go from there.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you for wrangling me back. Anything else?
Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
Much like you, I'm an introvert. I'm not a voiceover girly. So I wanted to know, how did you get over your fear of being in front of the camera, doing voiceovers, and just like being a beast like you are?
Thank you. Honestly, it really was just changing it and realizing that they're people, they're not numbers. And I know it sounds so cheesy, but it's true. I mean, thankfully I get to work with my best friend. So we get he's always on the other side of the camera.
And I love the spotlight.
But it really does take practice. And the more that you do it, the easier it gets. But don't, I want to say, you got to look in the camera, but also when you're looking at the camera, don't get so distracted by it that just think about who you're talking to. Really focus in on that. I don't know if that's good advice or if it's too vague.
It's practice too, doing
It
it all
is
the
really,
time.
it's a lot of practice. I promise. Yeah.
I also had a second question.
Yeah.
So when you do get these contracts, do you typically have your lawyers look over?
Yeah, we try to. Yeah.
We try to.
Yeah.
Truthfully, this is one of those things we're trying constantly to get better on because we're learning from every single contract we send. But yeah, we do have lawyers. Sometimes the brand will have the contract. Sometimes it will be one that we write. It really is a case-by-case scenario.
Yeah. And then.
Sorry, you go ahead.
No, and so with that in particular, if the brand sends a contract, definitely get a lawyer or somebody who knows contracts that can understand it better, because inevitably that contract will benefit the brand more than it will benefit you. And then if you're writing the contract, then
Those are the best.
It's kind of sort of on you, but it's just better if you have somebody in your house doing it.
And a lot of times you could propose hey, I'll send a contract over. You could be the first one, especially if it's a smaller brand that maybe they don't work with, dozens and dozens of creators. Say if you're working with Walmart, they're going to have a contract already in place. But some of the smaller travel brands, they'd probably be open to your own contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
We have time for one more question.
Where's Kramer?
Where's
He's with my parents in Tennessee.
He didn't want to come to Vegas at all. Guys, thank you so much.